Happy Teen Thursday! It's Miss Amelia at the library, and today we are going to be making a candy cane maze for this week's STEM activity. So if you haven't already stopped by the Columbus or Saluda Library to pick up your Take and Make kit, you definitely want to do that because inside your kit, you will have most of the materials to complete this activity. Inside your kit, you will have 5 candy canes. You'll have some graph paper. You'll have a jingle bell. There you go, you can kind of hear it now. And the rest of the materials you'll need to find at home or in your recycling bin. So for my STEM maze, I have already decided I'm going to use this nice box, and I've already decorated this box. This activity is really what you make it. So the more effort that you put into your design, the more fun it will be. So my design was inspired by the Elf movie that you can check out at the library. And at the very beginning of the movie, he talks about his journey through the candy cane forest and seeing all the gumdrops and everything. So I have used that as inspiration for my maze. And I've started with my start label over here at the side. And then on my long edges, I have put trees and snowflakes and candy canes to be the candy cane forest that Elf goes through. And at the very end, I have a Frosty the Snowman. So you can use any theme that you want for this maze, but that's just some of the designs that I started my project off with. So at the very beginning of your maze, you will find a cardboard. You can use the inside of a shoebox lid, or you can use, this is a box of copy paper, the lid off of that, or your maze doesn't have to have edges. It can just be a flat maze, which is also okay, but cardboard is the best material for that. You'll decorate that first any way that you want, and then we'll go to our graph paper for actually making our maze. And to keep with a holiday theme, I'm going to use a green marker, okay, for my design. And I already know that my cardboard maze is in the shape of a rectangle. So you can use any scale that you want for this, but for me, I'm just going to draw a rectangle on my graph paper. Okay, and this is going to help me to plan out my maze using my 5 candy canes. And there's not any specific rules for your candy cane maze. You may want to break your candy cane and use bits and pieces of it as little roadblocks in your maze. Or you could do like I'm going to do, and I'm going to use the whole candy cane. That way I can put them in my hot chocolate later. Okay? So I've got my maze shape here, and it's in the shape of a rectangle. And the graph paper is going to help us plan out how we want our maze to look. Now in our maze, we can use our candy canes, and we can use our extra cardboard that you may have lying around to make different roadblocks. For instance, I'm going to make a Christmas tree that's just right in the middle of my maze that my jingle bell has to travel around, okay? So I know that I want the Christmas tree right in the middle, so I'm going to plan that out. Okay, and I'm even gonna label this because this is how designers make their plans. Okay, so I've got my tree listed there. My start is on this side, so I'm gonna write start over here on the end. And I'm gonna write finish on the opposite end because that's where I want my jingle bell to end up. Okay, now there's only 5 candy canes. So like I said, you can break them apart or you can use them as they are, as a completed candy cane. And I'm going to choose to leave my plastic on the candy cane. And like I said, this is so that I can use these later in my hot chocolate. But if you want to eat yours later, remember, you want to make sure to leave on the plastic around your candy cane. Okay, so to start off with, I know that my jingle bell is going to go in my maze, and I think I'm going to try to spread out my candy canes evenly. Okay, so I know that my candy canes kind of hook around And I'm gonna use that when I'm making my maze. So there's one of my candy canes, and I want it to travel just a little bit, so I'm going to put my next candy cane just a little bit further away. Okay, and graph paper is wonderful for the design process because you can just block out how you want your maze to look and then use that when you're actually putting it together. All right, so I've got 2 candy canes. I've got my tree. I may add something else. Let me see. I might put some gumdrops as another roadblock. And these are gumdrops that I'm going to draw. I'm gonna label these drops. That way I know what they are. And I know another candy cane will come after that. And I'll have it facing the other way. Okay, and I might even put some more gumdrops there. I think gumdrops are gonna be really easy to draw. All right, and then that gives me 1, 2, 3 candy canes. Oh, and this is why we tried the design process out on our graph paper, because I've only used 4 candy canes in my maze design. Now, in your Take and Make kit, you will have more than 1 piece of graph paper, so you can do your design over and over and over again until you get it exactly the way that you want it. And once you have it on the graph paper, when you start to build it, you may see that you want to add something else to your maze. And that's when you go back to the designing board and you're going to add it onto your graph paper. But I think that's a pretty good start for me for my design. So this is what it looks like. My start is over here, and this is my jingle bell. And I have drawn out my candy canes. My Christmas tree I have blocked out in the middle. And you may notice that it's not in the shape of a Christmas tree. That's because I'm imagining it being tall instead of wide, right? Because I'm not gonna lay it down 2-dimensional. I'm gonna make it standing up, which is 3-dimensional. And then I've got my gumdrops here, more gumdrops, and then all the way at the finish on the opposite end. So now we're going to build that. All right. So the first thing I need to do is draw out my Christmas tree. And when you're drawing to add to a maze, you want to make sure that you add a little tag at the bottom of extra cardboard that will help your tree to stand up. And I'm going to use dashes to represent that for you on my design. I've got lots of markers to use. You can use markers, crayons, or anything that you have at home. You could use stickers if you've got some. You could even line the inside of your maze with wrapping paper. That would be fun if you have extra wrapping paper lying around from wrapping presents. All right, there's the trunk of my tree. Now I need to color the top. Let's see. This way my tree will match the other trees on my maze. So some other fun activities you could do a Rudolph maze. You don't even have to theme it with the holidays at all. You could just make it a fun maze that uses a jingle bell to travel through. Okay, so I've got my tree here. I'm gonna add some quick decorations to my tree. I'm gonna add some red Christmas balls on here to make it extra special. If I had time, I would add glitter to this and make it even more fun. But now I'm gonna cut it out. So I'm gonna remember to leave this tag down here at the bottom. That's what I was talking about, to help you make your tree stand up in your maze. And I'm just cutting around the tree. Cutting away the extra. Okay. And I'll do the same thing when I'm making the gumdrops for my maze. Okay, so here is that little tag that I was talking about. You'll leave at the bottom of your design, and you'll fold your Christmas tree back. That way, you can tape this part, the tag part, down to your maze and your Christmas tree will stand up. So I have masking tape for this today because that will hold really well. And my Christmas tree, if I look at my design on my graph paper, is right in the middle of my maze. Okay, and I'm gonna have it facing the start. Okay, if you wanted to, you could color both sides of your Christmas tree. That way you could see it on both sides of your maze. But there's my Christmas tree standing up. Okay, I'm gonna add in some of my candy canes and I'm gonna follow my design that I made on my graph paper. And this says that I have 2 candy canes at the very beginning before my Christmas tree. So I've got 2 pieces of masking tape to put my first candy cane down. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the next one down too. You want your tape to be long enough so that it can, oops, my candy cane opened, so I know I don't want to eat this one later. I'm not gonna eat this one. This one is just for my maze right now. Oops. Okay, so there's the start. I've got my 2 candy canes and my Christmas tree. And just for fun, I'm gonna go ahead and drop my jingle bell in so you can see it. And since my design is in this nice tray, I can kind of shake my candy cane or my jingle bell as to which way it needs to go down my maze. I'm gonna go ahead and add in the other pieces of candy canes. And mazes are fun. It's like making a big obstacle course. And then you can try to imagine doing the obstacle course as a person instead of like the jingle bell. Could you make it through your maze if it was just you and not the jingle bell? It's pretty cool to imagine. Okay, and I've got one more candy cane. This one was not added on my design, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it in because it looks like I have a little bit of extra room in here. And it will go right here. Okay, I mentioned adding some gumdrops in there, and I probably will do that later, but for right now, I want you to see how my maze works. So my start is over here. I've got my Christmas tree, my 5 candy canes, and they're all taped down, ready to go. I'm gonna drop in my jingle bell, and then I have to shake it around to get it to go the right route. Whoops, all the way to the end of my candy cane maze. So I hope you have fun with this activity. When you finish, if you'll take a picture of your maze and send it to the email address at the end of this video, you'll be entered to win a $20 gift card at the end of December. Have fun.